math people. All right, this next lesson in our data and statistics unit is going to cover something known as measures of center. So we're going to go through three different measures, some of which you might have heard before, might actually be a bit of a refresher for you. And then we're going to do a couple practice problems with them in preparation for doing even more with this in class. So the measures of center that we're going to talk about are measures that are used to take a whole set of data and describe it with just one number. So if you're looking at a study and the study has like 50 different numbers in it, and someone wanted you to summarize that study with just one singular number, you could do that by using one of these three measures of center. And those are the mean, the median, or the mode. And actually, you've probably heard people use these things and maybe not realized it. Like a lot of times, news articles or news reports will take something that's happening in the world and they'll summarize it with one of these things. They'll say, the thing that's happening most often, or the average, which is what one of these numbers means. And so we're going to explore what these are. The first one being the mean. So I'm going to use this example to go over what mean is. It says the Dallas Mavericks decided to bring on me to their team roster. And after 10 games, they decided to evaluate my statistics to see if I was worth keeping on the team. And in my last 10 games playing for the Dallas Mavericks, I scored the following point totals: 12, 12, 13, 14 points, 15, 15 points, 16 points, 18 points, had a big 42-point game, and I capped it off with a nice 50-point game. So the team's statistics department, in trying to figure out if I'm worth keeping on the team, need to have some sort of measure to use to compare me. And so one of these measures that they could use is what's called the mean, M-E-A-N, the mean. And the mean, another word for that is average. And the average, which I think some of you already know what this is, the mean or the average of a set of data is found by two steps. Step one, add all the numbers in the data set. So add all values. And then two, divide by the number of data points. So to find my average, the average number of points I scored over these 10 games, I would be adding together 12 plus 12 plus 13 plus 14 plus 15 plus 15 plus 16 plus 18 plus 42 plus 50, all of those things divided by 10. I'm dividing by the number of things that are happening in the data set. There are 10 games, 10 scores. I'm going to divide by 10. So I'm going to skip ahead to me getting that work shown and the final answer. All right, so as you can see on the screen, I've set up my adding all of the values, dividing by the number of values, which there were 10. So when you add them all up, you get 207, and you divide that by 10. And so this tells me that my average points scored over these 10 games, the statistics department will find that I averaged 20.7 points. And that's from 207 divided by 10. Sounds pretty good. If you follow the NBA at all, any player who averages about 21 points a game is definitely worth keeping on the roster. Now, some of you might be looking at this and thinking, it does say the average is 21 points about, but that's not how this player was performing. This player doesn't actually really score around 20 points very often. Actually, most of the time I'm scoring on the low teens, somewhere around 12, 13, 14 points. That's the bulk of where I'm scoring my points. So while the mean does help us summarize what's happening here, it's not a great summary. That's why there's not just one measure that we can use to summarize a data set. There's three different ones: the mean, the median, and the mode. And as we go through these three, we're going to talk about, or hopefully see, when it's better to use one measure over another measure. Um, so the first measure that we learned is the mean, also known as the average. And it's found by adding all of the values in the data set, dividing by the number of data points within the data set. You're going to have an opportunity to try this on your own in a little bit later. But for now, once you've gotten this written down, we're going to move on to our next measure of center. And that is the word median. Now, if you were to take the word median and translate it, literally, it translates to meaning the middle. If you've ever driven anywhere where there's a highway and there's a median, you might have heard that word, the median on the highway. That's the thing that separates the people driving one direction from those driving the other direction. Median literally means middle. So the median of a data set is the middle value of a data set. So if you went to my points scored, I would try to figure out what number is literally smack dab in the middle. So the biggest thing, which is written here, but I'm going to circle it or box it off in red, is that the data first must be ordered from least to greatest before you try to find the middle value. So the first step is you have to order the numbers from least to greatest. And then one of two things will happen. Thing number one, if your data has an odd number of values, odd meaning if there were 3, 5, 7, 9. In my example here, there are 5 data values, which is an odd number. If the data has an odd number of values, then you can actually find the middle number, and this is the median. Some people like to count in from both sides to get to the middle, so 1 from the left, 1 from the right, 2 from the left, 2 from the right. What's left in the middle is 9. So the middle, the median of this data set is 9. That is another measure of center. That's the literal center of the data set. But what happens if there's a 6th number in this data set, and it's not just 5 numbers with an exact middle number? So if the data set has an even number of values, and let's use an example. So I count from the left, count from the right, count from the left, count from the right. Uh-oh, there's 2 numbers left in the middle. So I'm going to put a little box around these 2 numbers. To find the median, the middle of this set of data, there's an extra step involved. What you're going to then do is find the average of the 2 numbers in the middle. 5 plus 7 divided by 2, 12 divided by 2 is 6. So when your data set, just to recap, has an odd number, there will be an exact middle number. That's pretty easy to do. You've ordered them from least to greatest, you find the exact middle. If the data set has an even number of values, to find the middle involves finding the average of the 2 numbers that are in the middle. And I'd like to give you one extra example of this right now to try. So we're going to find the median, the middle of these numbers. All right. I've given you 6 values. There's an even number of things, and I want to see if you can find the middle, the median. So give it a shot. All right, I know this is new. You might have messed it up, and that's okay. Let's learn from our mistakes if you made one. Step 1, you need to order them from least to greatest. I didn't give you a set of numbers from least to greatest on purpose. All right, now I've got them from least to greatest. Let's see if we can find the middle. 1 from the left, 1 from the right, 1 from the left, 1 from the right. There are 2 numbers left in the middle. So the middle, the median of this data set is equal to the average of the 2 middle numbers. And to find the average or the mean, you add the numbers in the set and divide by the number of data points, of which there are 2. 18 plus 24 is 42. Divided by 2 is 21. So the median of this data set is 21. And that's a way that you could describe this data set. You could say the middle of this data is 21. The numbers are all centered around the number 21. That's the middle of this data set. All right, so we've gone over the mean, the average. We've gone over the median, which is a little tricky depending on if it's an odd or an even number. And the last measure of center is called the mode. This is the one that captures the data that occurs most often. I stress the word most. That's how I remember mode. Personally, I think mode, most often. So the mode means which number in your set of data is the one that occurs most often. Now, there's a couple scenarios here. Your data could have one mode. There could be one number that sticks out more than the others. If you have one set of data that's like 3, 4, 5, 5, 5, 5, 7, 8. There was a bunch of 5s in there. There's clearly one number that is the most often. You could also have a set of data where there are multiple numbers that occur most often. So let's say we had, for this example, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 7, 9, 9, 10, 10, 10. The two numbers that occur most often are the 3s and the 10s. There are 3 3s and 3 10s, which means there are two modes, two numbers that occur most often. Lastly, you could have no mode. You might look at a set of data and your final answer will be there is no mode. And that would occur if every number in the set occurs the same number of times. So if you have a set of data where it's 17, 19, 23, 25, and 30, everything occurs one time. There is no most often occurring number, no mode for this data set. There is no most often occurring number, and that's okay. So your data might have one, multiple, or no most often occurring value. So let's look at an example. We've got the data set 11, 13, 15, 15, 18, 21, 24, 24. I've put it in order for you from least to greatest. And it's kind of easy to see then which number or numbers occur most often. The modes, or no mode for this data set would be, what do you think? All right, I got a double mode, 15 and 24. There are two modes, 15 and 24. So before I send you off, I'm going to give one example set of number, and I'm going to ask you on the screen to type in the mean, and then the median, and then the mode of the set of data. And looking at this, I'm realizing it's a bit hard to see, but climbing shoes, we've got a $40 pair, a $51 pair, a $142 pair, a $68, $57, $40, $65, and $85. All right, so get to it. I'd like you to find the mean, the median, and the mode. Ready? Go for it. All right, let's see how you did. I'm getting for my mean, I'm showing the work. I added all the numbers in the set, excuse me. I divided by 8 because there are 8 pairs of shoes, and if you got 68.5 as the mean, you're in good shape. Number 2, the median, meaning the middle number. So count from the left, count from the right, count from the left, count from the right, left, right, up. There's 2 numbers in the middle, so I'm going to add those 2 numbers together and divide by 2 to find the middle. And I did 61 as a final answer. I added those, I got 122, I divided by 2, and I got 61. All right, and then the mode, the most often occurring number in this data set. There's one number that occurs twice. There are 2 pairs of shoes that are $40, so the mode would be 40. So my question was, at the top here, What number could answer this question best? How much do climbing shoes cost? Do you think the average is the best indicator if you had to tell a customer? Do you think the median is the best indicator, or do you think the mode? And I would say the mode is definitely not. That's not a good way to describe this data. The two low end shoes cost 40, but that's not what most of them cost. I would go with probably, if I had to pick one of these, I'd go with the median. I'd say that most pairs of shoes are somewhere around $61. Some are higher, some are lower, but kind of a good indicator is this one. $68.50 isn't horrible, but I think that 61 is the best way to describe this data because most of the shoes are somewhere around $61. So if I had to pick one, that's what I'd pick. And this is what we'll be practicing a bit more in class. So if you've got questions, let me know. Otherwise, thanks for watching. See you later.